to the Better Knees series. This is episode 1. I'm Ryan, and we are going to go through a series of exercises today that is going to get you on your way to helping to get healthier, stronger knees that don't bother you, so that you can exercise and live your life knee pain free. So today we've got 6 exercises. We're going to need a foam roller. You can use the foam roller, but I got a paper towel roll here too for an exercise, just in case you need it. And then we have a yoga block. And those are the 3 things that we'll use today. None of them are completely necessary, but it would be helpful if you had them. We're gonna start, first exercise is gonna be more of a core exercise. And I'm always going to do something from the core to work on rib position and posture, because that's going to affect how you manage stress through the body. We can say physiological stress. And so your posture is going to dictate where that stress can accumulate. And when it accumulates in certain areas and you can't get the stress away from those areas, that's where we can have pain. So if you're having knee pain, a lot of times there's just a stress management issue, and that's going to start with some postural stuff. We need a better core. We need to have better postures that give us the ability to manage stresses better. So first exercise is going to be supine breathing exercise. And you can find this in our exercise tutorials as well. But we're going to start here. I'm going to have you lay on your back, feet flat on the floor. I'm going to have you take a breath in through your nose. On your exhale, exhale through your mouth. Pierce your lips, and I want you to drive your rib cage down and back. And the idea is to get rid of the rib cage, the lower ribs, so they're not extended and protruding out here. So you're going to take an exhale out. You're going to press down and back. I would say like bra line. You're going to push your back into the floor a little bit, and then you're going to keep pushing it, and you're going to breathe. So we're limiting the amount of expansion right here. Exhaling out. And finding ourselves more grounded to the floor. Okay, so I want to get some good abdominal activity. As you take my fingers, if I poke my abdominals, they should be pretty solid. Okay, and I should be able to breathe in and out without losing that. Okay, shouldn't be squishy. Okay, so once we get there, I'm going to feel myself more and more grounded to the floor through my whole torso. And then I want to do like a little march. And I'm going to move my feet very slowly and deliberately as I march and as I transition from right to left, to the point where I don't feel myself shifting on the floor. And you've got to go really slow to pay attention to this. If I lift my leg and my body moves, I'm not doing it right. So I have to stay grounded to the floor, and I'm going to march. And I'm going to control that. This is management, movement and force management. As I transition from right to left, I want to control my body through my midsection. All right? And you do a set of like 20 of those. All right? And then keep those abdominals working, keep breathing. And then we'll move into the dead bug position, where we're going to go both legs up. And we're going to reach our shoulder blades away from the floor. We're going to keep our tailbone nice and light on the floor. And we're going to stay grounded through the floor. And it's going to just make a little bit more challenge to do abdominal muscles as I breathe in through my nose, out through my mouth. And I want to keep my back glued to the floor and grounded through the floor. And I'm going to breathe. I'm going to hold that for 30 seconds up to a minute. Okay, so that's your first like little series of one exercise. Your exercise, just the core stuff. So we get our abdominals working. The feel you get here, like this bracing, this little bit of a brace control, integrity here around the waist, we'll call it your canister. You want to be able to have your canister in any position. Whether I have you on your side, whether I have you upright, I'm going to go back, and when I say I want you to feel like your abdominals are doing something or working, that's the feel we're looking for. So I should have that working with regardless of what position I'm in. And so you'll hear me repeat that a lot. So the next exercise, we're going to use the foam roller, and we're going to do a little bridge on the foam roller. The foam roller is going to get our hamstrings working. We need a lot of posterior control to take some of the stress off the front of the knees. So hamstrings, glutes, abdominals, obliques, those kind of things really help to take stress off the front of the knees. So I'm going to have my arches on the roller, right? I find my abdominals the same way. Rib cage is down and back. Breathe. And I'm going to bridge up. Now, I can bridge up with no block is fine, but I can also use a block as more of a placeholder. I don't need to squeeze the block, but it'll help me. If you're somebody whose legs like to go out, take a block and hold the block there, and we'll work the inner thighs. You're going to need it. Okay, so I have my block. I'm going to bridge up, all right? And once I'm up there, what I want you to do is I want you to pull your toes back, push your toes down. Make sure that roller stays underneath you, under the arches. Point the toes, lift the toes. Point the toes, lift the toes. And what we're doing is we're challenging the hamstrings to hold our position, to hold the roller in place, and we're loosening our ankles up so we don't have too much tension in the ankles or the calves, compensating for weaker hamstrings. So we're going to go rocking back and forth. Make sure you're not arching your back up off the floor. We want to stay out of our back by keeping our ribs down, keeping our tailbone tucked under a little bit, and then toes down and up. And I want you to start this at 30 seconds and work your way up to a minute. Slow and controlled. You should feel your hamstrings working a lot. Okay? Take a short break. You're going to do 2 sets of that. Again, 2 sets of 30 seconds, work your way up to 40, 45, 60 seconds. Okay? That's your progression with that exercise. The next exercise we're going to do is a sideline, we'll call it a clam and adductor pullback. If I'm on my left side, what I want is you to take your paper towel roll, hold it between your feet, right? And this is specific to my left side. I can rest my head on something or I can hold it here. I want to create a little bit of a bridge between my left hip and my left shoulder so that I can feed my hand underneath me between the floor and my left side. So that my abdominals, my left obliques are supporting me and I'm not just sinking into the floor. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to tuck my butt and round my back a little bit so I stay out of my back. I'm going to press my toes towards each other. All right, and then my right knee is going to be just a little bit in front of my left knee. So it's not back here, it's in front a little bit. Point your toes at each other, and you're going to go down and up with the right knee. Do a set of 10, up and down. Remember, you're pressing your right toe down into your left toe as you're lifting your knee. Once I get 10, I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to try to reach forward with my right knee and back. And you can see my pelvis moves. My legs are moving parallel to each other. So I'm getting some movement in my hips, and I'm able to shift my pelvis left and right. Okay? You can also, when you're doing this one, we're going to show you, I'll show you on your right side, because on your right side we're going to do it a little different. On your right side, you can let your side sink into the floor. Your paper towel roll is actually going to go between your knees. And you're going to think of pressing your top knee, your left knee, down into the roll a little bit. And you're going to roll this back and forth, just like that. So you're doing the same thing you were doing on the other side with the roll. With the reach. But now you have the roller between your knees. Make sure you do the sides that I'm telling you. So if I'm laying on my right side, I'm taking my left leg, inner thigh, and I'm pressing down, and I'm rocking back and forth. All right, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the inside of my left thigh here. On my right side, when I was laying on my left, remember, the roller goes between the feet. I have my 10 knee lifts, and then I'm reaching forward and back without the roller between my knees. So I'm actually trying to work my right glute a little bit. All right, and that's gonna be an asymmetrical exercise that we're gonna do. But at the same time, what we're trying to do is get the pelvis to be able to turn left and turn right. It's very important for it to be able to do that when you're walking or running. The pelvis should go towards the leg that you're on. And when it can't, again, you'll have some issues managing those stresses. So that's your third exercise. Fourth exercise, we are going to do, that was third. So we're gonna do a little internal, external rotation with the knees. And you can sit against the wall if you'd like, or you can just sit upright like this. And what I'm gonna have you do is press your heel down into the floor. Think of pulling it back a little bit. Keep your knee where it's at, right in front of you, so right in front of your hip and in between your hip and your toe. And you're gonna try to turn your foot as far in as you can, and then turn your foot out as far as you can. And I want you, whichever direction is the hardest, I want you to just work on that a little bit more. Like if it's a little harder to go in, just breathe and pause as you're turning it in. If it goes out easy, just go out real quick and then bring it back in. And then out and in. And we're trying to keep this knee from going with it. So we're staying stable. And what we're doing is we're able to then turn our lower leg, our tibia, on the knee. Internal rotation, external rotation. So we're working on the ability for this knee to actually turn. Okay, so if it gets stuck in one spot and it can't turn into the other spot, again, managing stress poorly, you're gonna have some issues. So we're rotating in and out. And I would do, make sure that your heel is pressing down into the floor, because we wanna do this with the hamstring. Hamstring has to be on, so you have to be able to press down into the floor. It doesn't have to be really hard, but just hard enough to where if you feel the back of your leg, you can feel the hamstrings working. And then as you're turning back and forth, you're still pressing down. All right? Do 20 of those on each side. Switch legs, go to the left side, press down first, find your hamstring, rotating in, rotating out. And go slow, don't just do like windshield wipers here. You're gonna go slow and feel that lower leg turn in and then turn out, pressing down. All right? Again, 20 on one side, 20 on the other side. Next exercise, we're going to do a seated, so you need a chair, I didn't say that. If you don't have a chair, you can do this half kneeling, but imagine somebody has a chair. You're gonna do this seated, and we were moving the pelvis a little bit, and then we were moving the knee a little bit. We're gonna play with the ankle now, and what we're gonna do with the ankle is I'm going to focus on my right leg. I'm gonna pull my heel on the back of my shoe, kind of like I did with this last exercise, to feel my hamstring. So I'm pulling back consistently, feeling my hamstring. While I pull the foot back, I'm gonna keep my knee where it's at, and I'm gonna roll my ankle out, and I'm gonna try to roll my ankle in. And we're gonna try to keep the knee from going in and out. If you're starting and you can't move your ankle without your knee at all, give yourself just a small window. Pull the foot back, find the hamstring, give yourself a little bit of a window for that knee to move in and rock out and in. And then as you get better control of the ankle, close that window up. Don't let the knee move over the foot. You keep it in. Most people are gonna have a really easy time going out and have a hard time going in. Don't expect to go in that much. So we're not looking for a ton of collapse in or roll in, but we are looking for the ability for our foot to roll in and pronate, okay? So do 20 of those on one side, switch to the other leg, same thing. Pull the foot back, feel your hamstring. The hamstring has to be working the entire time. And then you're trying to roll it and roll it. So if I have a hard time, like that previous exercise, if I have a hard time going in, I'm going to work at that just a little bit more. I'm going to kind of play around with the end range. I'm going to hold it for a second, and then when I go out, if that's easier, which it most likely will be, then I want to control it more. I don't want it to just go. I want to actually control it and limit how quick and easy it is. Okay, so you got 20 on one side, 20 on the other side. And then we're going to go down back to a bridge, and we're just going to do a roller bridge similar to what we did in the beginning. But instead of our toes pointing, what we're going to do is we're going to bridge up and down. Rib cage down, you can reach up, find your abdominals, and then you're just bridging up, pause at the top, touch the floor with your butt gently, bridge it up, pause at the top. Make sure you're pushing down through the roller and guiding yourself down. You should feel your hamstrings working. I'm using the block as like more of a placeholder. You can use a block or no block if you don't want to, but I suggest using the block if you have knees that tend to splay out. Up and down. Slow pause at the top. Tap at the bottom. Pause at the top. Tap at the bottom. Make sure that the roller isn't rolling out. So when you go to push down, you push down. You don't push out from under you. So control that roller. It doesn't have to be tucked all the way underneath you, and it doesn't have to be very far. Find a nice little happy medium and try to keep the roller under your arches of your feet. This one, you're going to do 2 sets of 12 to 20. So you're going to start with 2 sets of 12, and you'll work your way up to 2 sets of 20. And this is the only other exercise that you need to do twice. So you got the first bridge that you're going to do twice on the way in, and then this bridge that you're going to do twice on the way out. All right, so you do this workout, or I shouldn't even call it a workout, this little series of exercises. Basically, you're going to do it whatever the prescribed amount of times, either a week or a day, we suggest. And there'll be episode 2, 3, 4, 5 that you can start to progress through as you build some strength and competency in some of these areas, and hopefully have you on your way to healthier, more pain-free knees. Thank you.